Fight fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. Today we have a special guest. My guest getting ready, fighting on the big International Fight Week card in Las Vegas in July. He is the number 10 ranked bantamweight in the world. He's the undefeated Mr. Farid Basharat. He's getting ready to take on Ethyn Ewing here in a couple of weeks. Farid, how goes it? How are you enjoying this Saturday afternoon?
Very good. Just finished the last practice session of the week. Was a very good one. Solid push. Only a couple of weeks now, so soon we'll be tapering down, and everything is on point. Now just chilling out, watching the UFC in Baku, Azerbaijan.
Absolutely. You've been in this game for a very long time, competing, training for over 10 years. You understand, obviously, to be a professional fighter, it's not all amazing. There's a lot of sacrifices to make it to the UFC. You're staying up early. You're staying up late. You're waking up early. You're not making Conor McGregor money. You're sacrificing everything, maybe for the chance to come a contender series or something. Then when you even get in, the sacrifices still continue daily and daily. You've been doing it for a long time. What's made you stick with it?
Ultimately, it was, I had a goal. I set out a goal right when I got into the sport, was to become the best fighter on the planet. It's ambition mixed with a little bit of ego, probably, to ambition on the side of like, yeah, why not? Why I feel like I can become the best in the world. Let me apply myself in the best way I can, and then a little bit of ego in the sense of like, what separates the great fighters from myself? They had 2 arms, 2 legs. They bled. Their blood was red. So it's like the only thing that separates them is the work that they put in. So if I'm willing to put that work in, why shouldn't I be able to get to the top? And I'm glad I stuck with it, obviously, and obviously I'm on course to achieving those targets and those goals. So yeah, I'm excited for 2 weeks. It's just another step towards the top of the mountain.
Yeah, very cool. Recently UFC kind of changed the way they do their rankings. You now find yourself number 10. What do you think about that?
I like that. Obviously, it benefits me more. I think I was 15th, and then I just got removed from the rankings. Now I'm 10. I always thought that what was fairest was that I was closer towards the 10 area, because I looked at Chito Vera, who had lost 4 in a row, and he was number 10, and I think Figueiredo was number 7 with 4 of his last 5 were losses. And for me, it just I couldn't wrap my head around the previous ranking system. I feel like a lot of it was I don't even want to say a popularity contest, because I feel like I was more popular than some of the other guys. It was just kind of like I feel like people were placed there, people that the system wanted to push were placed there. It didn't really make sense to me, to be honest. So yeah, I'm happy with the new ranking.
Are you a little surprised? A guy like Ethyn Ewing, obviously becoming a big name for himself, has 2 great performances here. You're now in your 6th, 7th fight in the UFC. He's getting a top 15 guy third in. Are you a little surprised by that?
From a purely sports sense, I am surprised. I did want to fight somebody ranked above me. Naturally, if you have a ranking, you never want to fight below you. But from a business point of view, I know this is something the UFC does when they really want to get behind somebody. They try to give them rewarding fights, rewarding with regards to like the ranking. So we had this guy who had 2 decent performances, and now they wanted to give him an opportunity for the rankings. It took me 6 fights, and I still never got an opportunity to fight somebody in the rankings. And that's life, I guess. That's business. They like this guy. They want to push him, but from a sports point of view, I probably deserve somebody ranked higher. But from a business point of view, this makes sense, and I'm kind of happy actually that it's happening on a big card against an opponent who's got some buzz. So yeah, I go out there and I dominate him the way I think I'm going to dominate him, and it's going to do a lot for my profile.
Absolutely. Obviously, you train one of the best gyms in the world over at American Top Team. One thing interesting about this camp, a new addition, Malcolm Wellmaker now joining you guys. One of the guys who have fought Ethyn Ewing. What's it been like having him in your arsenal?
It's been good, man. He's first of all a very good, solid individual. He's a good person. So it just helps to have that kind of energy. And then obviously being in my weight division around my size, it's another good body to work with, to move around with. And I think he came a couple weeks ago. He first came maybe over a month ago, but then he was like moving his family out and looking for an apartment. So he's been in and out this camp. But he's a solid guy, really good fighter, and the fact he's fought him already gives a little bonus, So he was just a nice little bonus to have in the camp. We already had our game plan and everything was on point, and he just kind of gave me one or two little pointers, and he's just a solid guy, good to have around.
Another really cool thing about you is you do this alongside your brother, Javid. What is that like, man? What's it like to do this journey with your brother?
Yeah, it's a privilege to have somebody so close to you, uh, similar mindset, who's seen your progress from the beginning, so he knows my personality. He can really get into my mind and advise me on certain things. So yeah, he's always a massive part. I would say the biggest part of my preparation. Um, from a Not only does he help me and help mimic my opponents, but also like from a cornering point of view, he gives me great tactical and strategical analysis. Yeah, I've always said it. It's priceless.
One thing about you when you watch you fight, obviously you're very skilled, you're very well rounded, but I think you're very mentally strong. Do you think fighting is more mental than it is physical?
Oh, absolutely. The question is not if, the question is what is the split? What is the percentage? Is it 80%? Is it 80-20 mental? Is it 90-10 mental? It's definitely more mental. Yeah, I think it's probably something closer to 90-10, if I'm honest. That's how important it is. I think there's some things where it's just you're God gifted with certain abilities, physical abilities, be it power, be it genetic cardio, be it a strong chin. But every single day to wake up and push yourself, that's all mental.
In my opinion, you're one of the most well-rounded guys in that bantamweight division. For you, at what point in the career did you start thinking, if I want to try to make a run in the rankings, if I want to try to become a champ, I need to be able to be as well-rounded as possible?
From the first day decided to pursue MMA when I was 15, I always had the mindset, me and my brother both, because we were quite students of the game and we just enjoyed everything. It wasn't just striking or grappling or anything. We enjoyed every part of the game. And it was also just from like an ego point of view. When I was training, I couldn't allow anybody to be better than me anywhere. That was my mindset. Like I felt like I had to be competing with professional jiu-jitsu guys in jiu-jitsu, professional boxers in boxing. That was just my mentality, and it it was kind of the long way to go about it, because I feel like in this sport sometimes if you have a superpower martial art or like a specialty, it can kind of shortcut you. uh, this way is taking the long way, because you just every day you got to work on so much. The maintenance to keep a skill set the skill set that I have is not easy, because you have to divide the focus and attention quite equally. So it's definitely not easy, and you've got to be somebody who's constantly in the gym. But yeah, I've always looked up to the guys like George St. Pierre, like John Jones, who are well rounded and they could do everything. And so, yeah, I do feel like I am one of the most well rounded guys in the world.
Absolutely. The life of a fighter is like a roller coaster. You experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows during the journey. For you, how do you think you have grown and evolved as a person from being in martial arts?
Oh, massively. I think fighting is a metaphor for life. I think fighting is a smaller magnitude um, copy of life, basically. I think life is just a bigger, deeper, more important version of fighting. What happens in the cage for that 15 minutes, or your career. Um, there's been a lot of things, man. I've in this journey of it's been almost 15 years. I've learned so much. Who to trust, who not to trust. Um, and the biggest thing I'd probably say is, I mean, there's so many, but one thing that's just really helped me so much is don't worry about what you can't control, and just focus on what you can control. And once you accept it and acknowledge that, it's quite life changing, to be honest.
Absolutely. So you're getting ready to take on Ethyn Ewing here, International Fight Week. Overall, what do you think of Ethyn as an opponent?
I think he's a solid opponent. I think he's dangerous. I think he's skilled. Um, he has some decent momentum. And I mean, this is the UFC bantamweight division. It's one of the deepest weight divisions, so you're not really going to get any layups in this weight division. So he's a solid test, and I've put 150% effort into this camp and focus, and he's a challenge. Yeah.
So Ethyn coming off of 2 huge wins in the UFC that got his name buzzing. You're an undefeated guy. It's going to be your 7th contest in the UFC alone. You feel like the experience that you have might be the deciding factor here?
I wouldn't necessarily say it would be the deciding factor. I think it's just one of a handful of advantages I have over him. Uh, but yeah, I do think decision experience is on my side.
You know, obviously the main event that night, Conor McGregor, Max Holloway, a fight that people have been wanting to see for so long, the longly anticipated rematch. Is it cool? Obviously, you got to do business on there, but is it cool to be able to fight under that?
It definitely is. Yeah, it's like an accolade. You know, at the end of the day, when you get into the sport, you want to fight in the biggest arenas in the biggest shows, and you know, already in my career, I've had the privilege of, you know, being able to say that I fought on a John Jones card, on a Alex Pereira card, I fought on a Topuria card, Max Holloway, you know, and now to say that I'm on a McGregor card as well, it's just another feather in my cap, you know.
You know, throughout your time in the UFC, I feel like you're steadily becoming popular. You're growing a little more every single fight. Now you find yourself ranked. You're fighting a guy who has a lot of popularity with a big win here. Do you think you really push yourself to the next level?
Definitely, you know, I think I'm not sure. Look, with the performances in the cage, they've all been really good, and it's going to be another really good performance. But this is an opponent that can really push me up there with regards to, I guess if you would call it hype or buzz or whatever it is. You know, that seems to be very important these days, more so than what you do in the cage, apparently. But yeah, it'll definitely help in that regard. And look, man, 16-0, 28 years old, 7-fight win streak in the UFC. Um, I mean, it's pretty undeniable. You say whatever you want, but you've got to say I'm a bloody good fighter.
Absolutely. You know, you mentioned in this day and age, popularity is so important. It dictates fights. Social media, a big thing. Obviously, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook. Since you've been in the UFC, have you seen any memes or gifs about yourself that kind of made you laugh or be like, what the heck's wrong with the fan base?
Not particularly specific ones that I can remember, but you do often look at the not often, sorry, but you do sometimes look at the some certain comments online and stuff. And at the end of the day, what I realize is like the trolls. As humans, we remember the negativity more than the positive. You know, so I'll see 100 positive stuff, and then I'll see one troll say something negative, and I'll be like, and I'll remember that. I'll be like, "You son of a bitch," you know. But that's just human nature. And what I make sure to do is, especially in camp, I stay away from all social medias because it can be a toxic place. It can be a place that can, you know, if you delve into it too much, you'll start formulating how you should think and stuff. And I have my mindset, I have my beliefs, and I stick to those.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing to see where mixed martial arts has grown and evolved. You know, you started around that 2010 time frame, and just in the 15, 16 years, at that point, MMA wasn't legal in every country. It wasn't legal in New York. It wasn't legal in every single state. Not as many people watched it. Now it is as legal as it ever. It's legal everywhere. It's as big as it ever has been before. There's more money in it than before. You ever envision that this sport would be into what it is today?
Um, I think I started becoming a fan of the sport, like you said, around that 2010 times, and I actually did think that it would become a proper mainstream sport one day. Um, and funnily enough, although the money has increased and everything, I actually thought there would be more progression in that side. You know, especially if the numbers that are being made, the viewership, the numbers, and the money being brought in, I thought we would be competing, or I'd hoped we would be competing with the likes of boxing and NBA and NFL and uh, European football. Um, it hasn't materialized that way yet, but it's still a very young sport. It's barely been 30 years. Since 1993, I think. So I think there's time for growth in that
How do you
department.
how do you think social media and personality has changed the game?
Yeah, I think it's changed it massively. I think social media has moved in towards a. I think mostly for the good, but there's definitely some negatives in it too. I think obviously social media is a place where people have very short attention spans. You know, and the UFC has quite smart, and they've kind of tailored their product to that, in the sense of they want explosive fights, they want knockouts, they want submissions, and I think a part of the sport that's been gone away is the art, like finesse and the artfulness of a beautiful stick and move style, or a beautiful strategic shutting somebody down, a beautiful game plan implemented. I think people don't care for that so much anymore because they don't have the attention span or the intelligence to realize what's going on. I think it's a lot of casuals that just tune in and go, nobody's knocked out yet. It's been 3 minutes. Like, what's going on? So they want blood on the floor.
For you, what does it mean to call yourself a martial artist?
To call myself a martial art, I think it's just a little bit better every day in the gym. Just you don't have to, just every day try to be a little bit better in every art or that you are practicing.
There's so many casual fans watching this sport in this day and age. And I think for the most part, they kind of understand what you're doing. They know you're trying to get fights, get bigger fights, win belts, and all that sort of stuff. But to me, very few people understand the fight outside of the fight. And that's that fight not to clock in at 9 o'clock in the morning, clock in at 5 o'clock. That's that fight to secure financial freedom. That's that fight to live life on your terms, not follow societal norms, create some sort of goal, and live out your life to the fullest. For you, has this been a big part of the journey?
Absolutely. For myself, a big reason of why I did this sport was because I'm the type of person who doesn't like to be told what to do. I certainly don't want to clock in at 9, and not that I'm definitely not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that was just my personality. I guess it's who I am and where I've come from in terms of I come from a very tribal, mountainous area where I don't like being told what to do. I like my own sovereignty. I like my own freedom to be able to do whatever I want. So I don't. This concept of somebody else telling me what to do and answering up to somebody's, I just don't like that. It makes me a little bit claustrophobic. So that was a big reason of why I decided to do sports. I always pursued sports. It's because that I like to be on my own schedule, doing what I want, when I want, go where I want, travel when I want. So, yeah, that was a big part of it.
For you, what's the ultimate goal? What are we looking to accomplish here?
In the sport,
Yeah.
in this sport, is to become just the greatest fighter I can possibly be, the best I can be, and the best I can be is just the sky's the limit. You know, getting the belt. And you know, thank God I haven't lost yet, and I plan on keeping it that way. Take it one fight at a time. Is to be the best I can be, and that is definitely at least get the belt, defend it, and then best case scenario, retire undefeated.
You feel pressure in trying to stay undefeated?
You know, I used to, until I, like I said, control what you can control, and I'm a Muslim, and I believe that God has ordained everything already. Everything has been written, and in the sense of like that doesn't mean I can't work towards anything, but if if it's not meant to be that if I'm supposed to lose a fight or something along the way, I know it's for the best. I know God has a plan. I trust God's plan completely. And I used to focus on it too much, and it used to kind of cage me a little bit, shackle me. But I fight quite freely now because I just don't place that much importance in it. The importance is in becoming the best, not remaining undefeated necessarily.
Absolutely. All right, Farid. Last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome? UFC 329 when you make your return to the octagon against Ethyn Ewing.
Best case scenario is I finish Ethyn Ewing, go to 16-0, and move up the rankings. Best case scenario.
Absolutely. You know, we haven't seen a finish yet in the UFC, but now if you do it, there's extra incentive, maybe $100,000 bonus, guaranteed a $25,000 bonus. Has this gone through your head?
Not really, man. You know why? Because I feel kind of hard done in my last fight, in the Matsumoto fight. I feel like I deserved the fight of the night, and I didn't get it. So in my head, I'm thinking, man, if that, and most people would agree that that was the best fight of the night. And if that didn't get the fight of the night, and also I feel like in Paris when I did get a finish a couple years ago, I think it was one of 3 finishes. It was Morgan Charrier got a great liver kick knockout that deserved it. I got a beautiful arm triangle, and I think Volkan Ozdemir got like a classic schoolyard headlock, and he got the bonus. And I was thinking, bro, it's just become a popularity contest at this rate, So yeah, I'm not holding my breath for these bonuses.
There you go. Well, Farid, man, thank you so much for taking time out, camp. Really excited to do your thing, man. Congratulations on this, all the success you've been having so far. I think it's just beginning for you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. That's it for us, Dan. Carl Peruzza. He is Mr. Farid Basharat, looking to stay undefeated, making a return to the Octagon, UFC 329. Take out Ethyn Ewing. Don't blink, fight fans. It's going to be a fun one. Take care.